Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning.
Waalaikumsalam. Waalaikumsalam. Good morning, sir.
Waalaikumsalam. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Alright, before we start with the lab discussion, so let us proceed with finishing the one that we left yesterday. There are a few more slides. Okay, this one. So we already look at how to develop algorithm and flowchart for uh, for a problem that consists of the designer to design their algorithm and flowchart using decision logic structure kan. So we are going to move backward, okay, backward, because before actually we develop algorithm and flowchart, we need to first analyze the problem, okay. So how we are going to analyze the problem? By using PAC, IC and IPO. Alright. So we are going to reverse a little bit and look at how to develop a PAC, IC and IPO if the problem consists of a decision logic structure, okay? Okay, can you see my slides? Boleh eh?
Boleh.
Okay, so for that, let's look at this very simple example. So easy for us to understand. Assume that you are calculating pay at an hourly rate and overtime pay. Faham tak? Can you understand this question? Okay, if we turn this to a table and for example, okay, we have a table. Okay, if you think that the question is quite to understand, but you think there's something there's something there related to decision, then uh, you just straight away draw a table, okay, and then you extract the information and put it in the table lah. Okay, for example, in this case, we want to calculate what we call it gaji kan, salary kan, salary. So the salary need to be paid based on two condition right? Is it right? Is it correct? The calculation for the payment should be first is per hour, right? Per hour. Okay. If it is per hour, okay, meaning that hour should less than 40, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the calculation will be per hour. So how to calculate the payment? So pay equal to hour, hours okay, saya buat hour. Hour times by
1.5.
no, if the hour is less than 40.
1.
Ah.
1.
Hourly rate.
Hourly rate, right? If you times by 1, if I work for 24 hours, I will get 24 ringgit. Is it correct? No, right? So it is based on the rate. Rate doesn't mention over here. So it is up to the user to enter the rate, right? Is it correct, class? Okay, but
Correct.
if the total hour is more than or equal to, right, over 40, is it including 40? Over 40, no, right? Over 40. Sorry. Over 40. So this is including 40, eh? And is it correct?
Betul.
Uh, if the hours is more than 40, so the calculation should be P equal to
1.5.
Hour times 1.5 rate.
Are you sure?
Hour minus 40.
Hour cuba fikir.
Minus 40.
There will be equation over there, This one you need to comes you need to think a little bit for the entire equation. So you must also consider the overly hours. Okay, the overtime hour is meaning that the remaining of, let's say if you work for 100 hours, so you should minus 40. So the rest should be times by 1.5. 40 is 40, remain 40, right? Is it correct? Like that? Cuba fikir sekejap, Ada dah ni sebenarnya. If you go to the next slide. This one. This is the calculation. Hopefully you can understand this. Okay, 40 is the maximum. Okay, maximum without overtime, kan? So you can work for 40 hours. Okay, so this will be considered as normal rate. Okay, and then you plus with uh 1.5. 1.5 is the rate for overtime. Okay, times by how many hours that you work overtime, kan? So if you work more than 40 hours, it will, the rest of the hours is going to be considered as overtime, kan? So if you work for 100 hours, 40 hours will be calculated based on normal rate. 60 hours is going to be calculated as overtime. So plus all together, so you will get the pay rate. So you take this, okay, let's say you think this by yourself, and so you put it in the table. As I mentioned, if you yesterday, if you were given a table, okay, so it will make your life easier, lah. So you just take everything from the table and translate it to a decision. Right. But if you are given none, okay, none table is given to you, then you have to extract information by yourself. So how to extract the information related to decision? draw a table. Okay, draw a table something like this, and then you can see, oh, there's actually decision can be made. If you work normal hours, so this is the rate. Else, again, the event. If you work normal hours, this is the calculation for the rate. Okay, if you work overtime, so this is the calculation. So if apa? So based on this table, how many if you are drawing a flowchart, how many diamond symbols should you draw? 1 or 2?
One.
This symbol. So how many of this symbol should you draw? 1 or 2? 1 ke? Are you sure 1?
2.
2.
Yes, sir, saya yakin.
Okay, nanti simpan dulu simpan. Kita tengok sekejap kan. Alright. Okay, so what should you put inside of the PAC? Okay, so confirm in the given data you should put the inputs. Okay, so there are 2 inputs, right? The first input is user need to enter hour. Okay, the total hours that they work. So let's say if they enter 100 lah kan. If they work in normal hour without overtime, so maximum is 40 hours. So they will enter 40. And then in this case, since the rate is not been defined, okay, it is not mentioned in the question, what are the rates, hourly rate kan, for the payment kan. So you need to ask the user to enter the rate as well. So that you can calculate lah the pay ni kan, the total pay need to pay to the user. So otherwise, if you don't have the rate value, then how you can calculate the pay, right? So you need user to also enter the value of rate. That's why there are 2 over here, hours and rate. Okay, so to add the decision actually, so you need if there's a table, you just copy the table. Okay, you just copy the table and then you put it in the given data section. Something. Macam mana copy table Okay, something like this lah.
Sir,
Yeah.
ada student nak masuk.
Yeah. Okay. Lagi. Ramai pula. Okay. Okay. Something like this, okay? You put it over here instead of the given data. Just put the raw table raw table Okay, so the current result still the outputs. Okay, the rest is similar kan? The one is the thing that is different in the PAC. If the problem involving decision is mainly on the given data, okay, you put the inputs and also the related table. Okay, table is the table must contain the information related to the decision. Okay, and also instead of the processing, so normally okay, if the problem doesn't involve decisions, there will be only a calculation, right? Equation or expression over here. So since okay, something like this, right? If it is a sequential logic structure, okay, no decision. But since we have a decision, okay, involved in this problem, then you need to as well put the something like the algorithm kan, but only on the part of decision. That's why if you can see over here, okay, along with the calculation, we need to also put the if and also else. If it is only if involved, then you put if. Okay, if there's a if else, you put if else over here. If there's involve if else if, for example, if else if, then else kan, else what kan, p blah 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 kan. So you put everything over here kan. Okay, can you understand that? Okay, only the part of decision making, not the entire algorithm kan. Input, output, no, don't have to put over here. Okay, just put uh, the calculation along with the decision. Okay, so solution alternative still the same. Okay, you just put something like this. Okay, you can take hours and rate, define as constant, and then define hours and rate as input value, and you put star in front of the input value, meaning that this is the solution that we are going to choose. Okay, boleh ya? Any question?
Tak ada.
Alright. So IC is the simplest one. Okay, so it is similar for all types of structure. Okay, so you can just copy this and put it in your answer sheet. You will get some marks for sure, kan? Okay, so no issue about this, And then IPO. Okay, IPO also similar as the sequential logic structure. However, you need to add the decision part. Also, it is as we discussed last weekend. This is what you can take and you can put it in your algorithm. And it is merely similar, kan? It can be similar. It can be similar. First, you put the input, okay, input variable. And then the processing for input is enter kan, enter something right, enter input, okay, enter the variable. And then you put the module, okay, the second input, okay, and then the calculation must be accompanied by the decision, okay. So for here, okay, so you can just put calculate pay kan, but since there are two different equation, okay, using the same variable name pay. So to differentiate, you need to put the whole equation. Okay, otherwise you can just put calculate pay kan. So last time we use calculate pay, something like that. So since there are two method of uh, calculating a pay, okay, based on the decision, so you need to put the whole equation over here. Okay, the whole equation over here. So this is line 4 actually. Line 4 panjang sikit kan. Panjang ni, line 4. Okay. So calculate. Okay, so this is inside of calculate module. This is also inside of calculate module. And finally, printing. Okay, print the outputs. Okay. Also similar like the one that we use for sequential logic structure. Okay, and finally end. Boleh ya? IPO. Boleh?
Boleh.
Boleh.
Alright, so Okay, finally for the algorithm, just copy over here. If doesn't require any changes, you can just copy everything from the processing and make it your algorithm lah. Don't forget to put down the algorithm name first in the first line. Okay. So this is how you write down algorithms. Okay, this should be macam ni Okay. This is the most accurate one Right. So this indent, this one indent. So this is the same level. This is the same level. Okay, and then so I already look at some of your answers for desk checking So desk checking, some of you I think still confused how to write down the correct desk checking So first you need to list down all the variables. Okay, for example in this case we have 1, 2, 3 variables, right? So you need to list down all the variables on the top of the desk checking table. And then you need to use the test data. So the test data should be, if none are given in the question, so you need to come up with your own test data. Any numbers, any value. You need to give the input value, and you need to manually calculate by yourself what is the output for the value, the input value that you already chosen. So you need to manually calculate to get the output. So based on this input and output value, 5, 30 and 115 so you need to put it inside of your desk check. Desk check table. You are not putting just a variable. For example, some of you put this hours the name of the variable, for example So in this you put, for example, rate 1. This is hours 1. Some of you do something like this. So this is wrong You should use real value. If the value is a integer number, then put the numbers, not the variable. The variable you list it on the top of the table. Don't get confused Okay, so similar with sequential logic structure. Over here, make sure the line number inside of desk check table is similar with the one from the algorithms. For example, if in line 2 there's an input hours over there, so make sure line number 2 where you put the value for variable hours. So this is based on this value the one that we put for test data. So 5, we put 5. And then in line 3, input rate. Input rate that is for test data we use 30. So in line 3 we have 30. Make sure there's also a column for input and output. If the operation involving input, make sure you write what is the input for hours, and then you put question, question mark. This determine that the process is going to be an input process. If it is output process, you use equal to. So this is output. So this is input. That's the difference. We only put input and output only. So 5. 5. This is going to be 5, the input. And then this is 30. Alright. So the addition in the desk checking, if the problem involving decision logic structure, mainly is one column that is specifically for condition. If you can see over here, condition. Alright. Meaning that in line 4, if there is a decision in line 4, as you can see over here, so the decision should be explained in the desk checking table. table by using the real value. Okay, nampak ni? If you can see, the decision is hours. Is it hours more than 40? So inside of the dash checking, you change value of hours to the real value that you check. Okay, from the test data. So hours is 5. So put 5 over here. Is 5 more than 40? That's why we have a question mark over here. All right. So and then you put the outcome of the condition. Okay, is it true? This one is 5 more than 40. It is false, right? So the answer is F, or false. Okay, you can write down false or you can write down F. If it is true, for example, if ours is 100, so 100 is more than 40. So it is true. So is true. T. Just put T over here. Okay. Okay, can you get it? Right. So if you see from this dash check, line 5 and line 6 is empty. Why is it empty? I think you get it, right? Why is it empty? You get it, guys? Can you see why is it empty?
Yes.
Why is it? What's the reason for the emptiness?
About 5 is less than 40.
Yeah, correct. So it will be only filled in if the condition is true. Okay, if the condition is true, for example, we put 100. Okay, so 100 more than 40 is true. Right. So if true, if we refer to the algorithms, if true, it will execute line number 5 because this is the true body for the condition. So we are going to write down the answer for the equation. What's the answer? Something. I don't want to calculate. Maybe something like this. So rate is 30. So 30 times by something like this. 40 plus. So you just take out this equation and fill in the variable with the real value. Okay. Plus 1.5 times hour again is 100 minus by 40, and then what is the value? For example, the value is 300. For example okay, I don't want to calculate it. Okay, for example, the value is 300. So this is how you do it. So should we put this over here? So there is none. So line 6 and 7 is going to be empty because we already execute lines 5. Okay, because the decision is true. So if it is true, it will do this calculation and it will skip line 6 and 7. And also 8 lah. There's nothing, no operation in line 8 kan. And it will straight away go to line 9, which is display pay. So in line 9, we are going to print the value of pay on the screen. Okay, that's why we see over here pay equal to, for example, the value is 300 kan. So we will get something like this. Okay. Can you understand, guys? Any question?
No, sir.
Anybody? Anybody have still confused? Huh? If you don't understand, don't worry, I can explain again. Okay, boleh? Okay, since everyone understand, we can proceed lah.
Sir.
Apa dia?
Number 1 dan number 10 tu memang tak tulis apa-apa lah.
Number 1. Okay, so number 1 and number 10. So refer back to the algorithm kan. This is all based on the algorithm. So inside of algorithm, number 1 mainly mentioning the algorithm name. So no operation. Okay, it is just it just shows the algorithm name. So tak ada input. Okay, there's no input, there's no output, there's no calculation. So just leave it empty lah. Alright. Similarly, in line 6. Okay, in line 6. In line 6 of the algorithm, you can see that it is on the else statement kan. So what should be the process input? Is there any input output? Tak ada kan? So confirm line number 6 is going to be empty. Okay, in any cases it's going to be empty. Okay, similarly in line 8 it's going to be empty because it is just the closing of the if kan, and if. So there will be no value over here to be shown to inside of the dash checking lah. So number 8 in any condition is going to be empty. Okay, similarly in line 10 it is just mentioning the stopping of the algorithm. So surely it's going to be empty lah inside of the dash checking. Clear?
Boleh, terima kasih Doktor.
Alright. Okay, okay, so this is for another example. Okay, you can see from here. Alright, so next is the flowchart. Okay, so this what we already discussed yesterday. Flowchart and algorithms. I think everyone is okay kan? For flowchart and algorithm, so make sure you write down the indent meaning the space correctly. Okay, make sure this is in the same level. Okay, this is the same level. Input I. This is slightly indent ke dalam sikit. Then E is the same level. This is slightly inside. Okay, this is in the same level. Alright. So how to write the algorithm might be different if you are referring to the books. So the one that I want you to use is this. So this is much easier to read. Okay, if somebody want to read your algorithms, they can read it easily if you write the algorithm in this way lah. Okay, so go back to my first question kan. So how many decision symbol, which is the diamond, should we use in the flowchart? So this is the answer lah. So why is it only one symbol? Why not two?
Sebab ada 2 equation je.
Okay, if you have two condition, okay, so we should only use one symbol. Because of we must consider the else over here. You see, if in the algorithm, if we have two condition, we must use if else. If we have only one condition, there will be no else. Faham So takkan ada else ni lah. Kalau one condition. Okay, one condition. Since we have two condition, we must consider if and also else. So if we have three condition, dia kena ada else if kan, dia punya what's the condition? Condition, and then we must have else. And what is the calculation for the else? Blah blah blah. So if this is your decision, meaning that how many symbol that you need to use? Something like this If this is a condition, our for example something like that. So this is. So how many decision symbol should I put?
2.
Two kan. So hopefully everyone get it lah. Because what? We put two. First, this is what we put inside of the first symbol. Okay, the second condition is this one. Okay, is there any third condition? No, right? It is empty for the else. That's why we only apply two. Okay, if we have three condition kan, 1, 2, 3 kan. But inside of the algorithm, only two that is visible. The last one is not visible kan, because it is a else kan. Else without if, no need to put condition. So in this case, in our case, okay, sekejap. Only one symbol is used because in the algorithm also we use one. So it should be tally lah. One kan. So this one belongs to else. Okay. So what is else? Else is the false parts for the condition. This one is for the false. This one is for the true kan. Hopefully you can see this, right? So what is missing in this algorithm class? In this flowchart, what is missing?
Print.
The output.
The output. Display pay kan. So again, make sure you put the display pay in the correct location in your flowchart lah. Don't put it here kan. Or you put it here. So it will be wrong lah. It will be the flow is going to be wrong. So you must put it over here. So it will cover both situation. Okay, true and false. So true and false will going to print over here. Okay, because this is outside of the condition. Kalau dia dalam ni lain lah. If it is inside over here, for example, display pay kan. This one we already discussed yesterday kan. If it is over here, for example. So you can, if there's a display pay over here, then you can put display pay in which parts, false or true. If I put display pay over here.
False.
Okay, get it Okay, so if I put display pay over here, meaning that the symbol for print is over here. False kan? Right. So display pay is here lah. Sini lah before n. So display pay. Then n. Okay. Alright, so the rest is example over here that you can refer on. Okay, so let's discuss on last week lab kan. Alright, so the first task that I ask you to do is what is it? Based on the okay, let's refer to some of the answer kan. Okay, let me stop this. Okay, for example, the answer from Abdul Rahman. Okay, week 3 kan, betul lah week 3 kan. Alright, so this is a question for the this one. But before this question, I ask you to develop the what is it? Dash check, is it dash check?
Just checking on footer.
Dash check and flowchart for the one that have equation tu kan. Yang empty space plus empty space equal to empty space kan. So that is missing for most of C11 section kan. Look at your answer, it is missing. It's okay, you can do it later on, okay. Right, let's check on this answer first. Okay, so any comments on our friends answer? Any comments? Betul kan?
I did a bit different.
Okay, but your friend answer, is it correct? You think is it correct? Okay, first, if you are given a question like this kan, always refer to the manual form. If there's a manual form over there, refer to the manual form. In this case, this table is considered as a manual manual invoice kan. So you need to replicate this form in the okay, in your system. Okay, for your system, for example, if user need to enter this manually, right? If this is a invoice kan, manually they need to write down this. So they need to write kan. So if you transform this into a computer system, so users still need to write by using keyboard. Okay, so same things, but we convert it into a system, right? So using a keyboard, when user need to type on the keyboard, meaning that it is a input process. So that's the input over here. So this is input. Okay, this is input, and this is also input. Okay, since this is a very basic system kan, sequential logic structure. So it is no there's no decision to be made, and this is very primitive system kan. So still need to enter everything kan. So user need to enter this, user need to enter this, user need to enter this. Okay, does user need to enter this? The answer is no lah. If user need to enter everything, there's no point in having a system, right? So at least the system can calculate for the user, okay, on the total part. Right? So enter this, enter this, enter this, calculate this. Enter this, enter this, enter this, calculate this. Okay? And finally, calculate everything. So I said how many calculation? How many calculation did I mention? Calculate, calculate, calculate. So there should be 3 calculation. Alright? So that is what missing in your friend answer lah. Okay, so input, okay, this is acceptable, so you can do it like this since there are no requirement to enter. For example, the requirement mention user to enter the sequence of input should be enter first item, and then enter first quantity, and then enter first item unit price. Then you have to follow the sequence kan. For example, enter number 1 item, and then need to, after enter the item, need to enter number 1 quantity first. So this is wrong. But since there are no requirement mentioning the flow, so this considered as a correct one. Okay, so you enter the item first, and then all the quantity for the items and all the price for the items. Okay, so it is correct. And then calculation also correct for the first calculation. Is it correct? Okay, also correct. But your friend is missing one more calculation kan, which is the calculation for total kan. For total, calculate total kan. Total amount to be precise kan. Total amount, for example. So what's the equation for total amount if referring to your friend?
Number 1 underscore answer plus number 2 underscore answer.
Correct plus number 2 answer. Okay, this is correct, although the variable name actually any files, any variable actually avoid using dot. Okay, dot usually means for something else. Okay, for example for file extension kan .txt ke, for there's more than that lah. If you are doing a coding, avoid dot for a variable name. In this case dot, tak boleh lah guna dot don't use dot so all dot should be ni lah atas ni pun. Okay, up here also you need to remove the dot. Okay, next, what is the output? So this is not the correct way how to write down the outputs kan. Maybe inside of Raptor, maybe lah, I'm not sure. Maybe you can use this. Is it correct? I think also wrong if you if you put this in Raptor kan. So the keyword for the output kan, the keyword for output Abdul Rahman, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So the keyword for output is what? For example, if you want to put output process over here, kan, the selection of the keyword is very important lah. For example, if input, using enter, using input, okay, using what else? Okay, but okay, for output also similar. So you can use display, you can use print, as long as when people read, they will know the process is output process. Okay. Okay, so based on your answer, maybe you want to display total amount, right? Okay, but the correct, the most accurate way is, okay, let's say if you have the system, right? Using, okay, let's say if you go shopping if you go shopping to any, to Pakistan, for example, kan, if you get a receipt, just mentioning the total amount, so what will be your reaction, class? Your receipt, you buy 10 items and then you get receipt just mentioning the total amount of you already paid is 500 without mentioning what item that you bought, what's the price of the item. So you will feel something missing, right? So similar for the system that you are going to design. You cannot just print only one value unless the question strictly mention only print total amount, then that's okay lah. Okay, otherwise you need to think carefully. Okay, what should be print? What should be the input and the output of your system? So in this case, the output should be everything. I think everything need to be shown. Okay, otherwise it is less accurate lah. for something like invoice. Okay, invoice and invoice should be in details. So what should be print? Everything. Okay. Number one item name, number two item name, number one quantity, number two quantity, everything. Okay, including the total amount. Everything should be printed. Okay. Boleh?
Boleh, sir.
Okay, most obviously 11 doing the same. I mean the same question only lah. Okay. Okay. Raptor, I think everyone got it correctly. If you translate it from your algorithm, if the algorithm is wrong, then for sure the flowchart is going to be wrong as well. Kan? Okay, for example, this one. Okay, this is not the correct one since your algorithm is incorrect. Okay, so this one I think this is from C13 Nur Syahira. Okay. Okay, so this is what I've been asking you kan to do. First you need to construct the algorithm kan. The algorithm and just check for this question kan, the operand kan. This one is correct lah. Okay, so this is the algorithm. Okay, enter name, enter ID, enter operand, and then calculate the answer, display the answer. Okay, so come up with a test data. Okay, to one set je, tak apalah one set kan. Okay, boleh lah one set. Okay, so what's the value of the operand? Okay, so manually calculate the output and then okay, check the value using the dash checking. Okay, check whether your algorithm is correct or not by using the dash checking. So enter the value, okay, the real value kan. This is not variable and value. Okay, this is input process. Okay, calculation one. Alright, tu ke ni? Macam lain je. Nur Sahira. Ada tak? Nur Sahira, are you here? Nur Sahira? Nur Sahira, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Ada kan? Alright. Okay. Let's check until line number 4 kan. Line number 4 supposedly input operand 2 kan. Input operand 2 in line 4. So let's check out your algorithm. Line number 4 input Q1 operand 1. So it is not matching not matching with your dash check. Do you see what's the problem is? Dash check line number ni, line number should tally with your algorithm line number. Okay, for example in line 1, input name, right? Okay, so line 1 input name. So wrong Line 1 should be input name. If you follow this, okay, line 1. So line 1 is algorithm name. So not match. Okay, so enter name should be in line 2 lah. So this should be in line 2. You get it?
Yes.
Okay, in line 3, enter student ID. So line 3, enter student ID. And line 4, enter operand 1. Kan? Operand 1. So this is operand 1. Also the variable name is not matching. So kena operand 1 lah. Kalau ni Q1 operand 1, so this should be Q1 operand 1. It should be consistent. Okay, the same name, the same variable name as your algorithm. Okay, in line 4. And then line 5. Line 5, you entered Q1 operand 2. Okay, line 5, you entered Q1 operand 2. Okay. And then line 6. This one is calculation in. So this is what another mistake. So the calculation is not going to happen in your algorithm until line 11. So supposedly calculation is on line 11. And one more thing, inside of algorithm, you need to formally describe the calculation, not using calculate only. This is only allowed inside of IPO, kan? I mentioned already. Inside of IPO, you can generally put calculate Q1 if there is no decision, kan? Unless if it is involving decision, then maybe Q1 calculation have one or more than one different calculation, kan? Okay, so this one you need to write down the complete calculation. What is the calculation? Q1 inside of algorithm, boleh everyone, algorithm, you need to write down the complete calculation. Okay, calculation of what? Calculation of what? So if the calculation happens in line 11, so inside of your dash check also, the first calculation should be happen in line 11, not line 6. So this is incorrect. Alright, boleh So know your mistake and please don't repeat it again in the future. Okay, so okay, the second task. Okay, Shaira, what's wrong with your algorithm? What is the mistake in your algorithm? This one I already explained earlier. Shaira. Ada kan Shaira tadi? Hilang lah. Hello. Hello. Hilang pula dia ni. Okay, read quantity, not specifically for cement. If you do like this, then wrong. Okay, item can be anything. It is not merely for cement and sand. What if user want to enter bricks? What if user want to enter nail? It is up to user, right? So wrong lah. The one that shows in the question is only example. If user want to buy 5 bags of cement, this is the price. So that's the example. Doesn't mean that every time user use the system, they can only buy cement and sand. No, right? So use general variable name. Okay. This is for item, and read item 1. Item 1. And then read item 2, and then read quantity 1, quantity item 2. Unit price for item 1, unit price for item 2. in general, kan? So this is also wrong, calculation also wrong, wrong. Alright, so make sure don't repeat this mistake again. Okay, I think that's about it. Okay, last week punya exercise, it is a very basic exercise actually. So for this week lab, okay, this week lab, we are going to do midterm test. Not the real midterm test. It is a real midterm test question, but past semester questions. Okay. Okay, as you can see over here, so the format is similar. Okay, so midterm test will require you to finish everything in 2 hours. Okay, in 2 hours you need to complete everything. Okay, including the submission. So this is a last semester question. Okay. Okay. For this question, there are 2 parts. Okay, there are 2 parts of this question. Okay, this is the first part. This is the second part. Okay, question 2. Right, for this week, I just want you to complete the question 1 only. Question 2, just leave it. Okay, I want you to complete the question 1. Only. Okay, so this is the question. I will upload it to Kalam now. Belum lagi, saya tak upload lagi. Sekejap let me upload first. And then you can start doing it and submit to Kalam. The latest is tomorrow night, before midnight. Boleh? Not tonight, tomorrow night. Boleh tak?
Boleh,
Boleh,
sir.
Okay, so any last question? Okay, you can straight away do the exercise after this. So we have about 45 minutes left. 1 question should be enough.